Crypto God here, and today I have Ali from Hollaex Token to talk about this exciting project that they are doing. How the are you doing, Ollie?
I'm doing good. Happy to be here.
I'm happy you're here. We have missed each other a couple of times, and it broke my little heart. So I'm glad that you're here. I've been trying to talk to you now for weeks, and I've been
happy to be here.
You know, when we missed that first opportunity to talk, I tell you, I turned on my shower, I sat on the floor, and the water came down on me, and I'm like, I'm a failure, but we're here, and I couldn't be any more enthusiastic about it. So, Ali, tell me a little bit about yourself and your project.
Okay, so I'm Ali, founder and CEO of BitHolla. We're a trading software company based in Seoul, South Korea. And basically, Hollaex is our project that essentially is to allow everyone in the world to be able to run a crypto exchange. Many of you guys know crypto exchanges are pretty profitable businesses and quite interesting for people to jump into crypto as a first step to get themselves involved. And we simply just make that process really easy. So you can easily start a crypto exchange, have liquidity from day one, connect to different markets at different coins, and pretty much get your community and people onboarded and start making money. That's in short. The longer version is going to be really geeky and techy. I don't want to get into here.
Okay, so I went to your bitholla.com, right? That's you.
Yep.
And you see here you got cloud exchange, open source, not sauce. God damn. And then you got coin pair creator, liquidity provider, professional trading interfaces, and crypto custody wallets. And then I go to the bottom here and I see some very interesting names, right? Like I see Forbes there. Were you guys reported on by Forbes?
There is an article that they interviewed me, and there's basically a quote from me on Forbes.
Wow, that's huge. Thanks. That's really, really big. Yahoo Finance, you talk to Forbes. That's so buckle in, people. Okay, buckle in. We got a certified Forbes right here to talk to you today. That's how he ended up in my interview chair. Who knows what kind of dark magic I used to summon him? Who knows, right? So you got this whole thing going on. You got this really great project where you help create exchanges. That's massive. That's a big thing, right? Where you guys are helping other currencies kind of do their thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where the real future of the DeFi ecosystem is going. And with a lot of these other currencies is not so much insular focus where they're focused on themselves, but building the community as a whole.
Right.
Because the DeFi system, right, and all these other currency things going on with the smart chain and blockchain and, chain wallets, so on and so forth, right? Chain wallets isn't a tech term. It's just, those wallets with a little chain. But, I think really it's a relatively new technology.
Right.
And there's a lot of exciting opportunity for innovation. So providing an avenue to create these exchanges, I think, is a really valuable service.
For sure. So what we see in the industry is that it pretty much for normal people out there, the first step to getting to the crypto world is kind of going through a very simple experience, something that you're familiar with. A simple website. You can sign up and you go through the process. Just get yourself started. And crypto exchanges are essentially that infrastructure, the first step for people to connect to the world of crypto. All the DeFi stuff and all that sort of cool things from our experience happens after people get their hands dirty. They go to an exchange. That exchange experience is typically what everybody is like really familiar with. Most of people that I converted to crypto for the last 7-8 years that I've been in the space, they pretty much believed it after they converted it to money, and that exchange experience is pretty much the key. So imagine like in the whole world, you have this ability to start a crypto exchange, anywhere in the world. I'm not talking about just first world countries. You can do this in Africa. You can do this in Latin America. All around the world, people can start something like that and then get their community involved. And the great thing about it is that you can literally start like for free. You can pretty much do it DIY, no strings attached or anything, and people can start onboarding users to their platform. And that's a great way both to sort of get more and more people involved and get crypto to mainstream in many different places, many different countries all around the world. So the exchange is kind of like the first key to pretty much get crypto to mainstream, and that's always been the case. In the US, you can see Coinbase. It has had a really huge impact in onboarding like different people in the United States, and then that's the same experience for us in Korea, like people in Europe, and we're making that easier. So this is just the fiat aspect of it. When we talk about exchange, it's not just fiat; it's like trading any asset. So we have a huge influx of people who are token creators. They have tokenomics, got like really beautiful ideas. Some of them are pretty mature. Some of them are like earlier stages. And these guys have these massive like token projects that with a lot of ideas and stuff. Tokenomics are really, really interesting. You want to reward people, do this and that, and then a lot of like these projects can actually utilize this to build like their community, because the exchange is again like where people really meet. We wrote an article about like the exchange history and talked about how it all started in Europe and in Belgium. People literally were like gathering in a square and shouting, and then that experience of like trade is something people want. So as long as you have the website and you have this beautiful matching engine behind it that matches like people's like orders, you got yourself a really great infrastructure to bring people from different places and offer them, create some value one way or the other, whether it's like converting your crypto assets to fiat, vice versa, or you have your tokens, you want to distribute your token, and like the sky is pretty much the limit with ideas that you can create with exchanges.
Now, you said a couple things I wanted to touch on, right? Because you're right. It's that exchange process that newcomers to crypto, like they just have to have the experience once to become believers. And when I started this thing working in crypto and messing with crypto, because let's be honest, when we all start, we're just messing with it. We're not working with it. Because the difference is you start to understand a bit more as you go on, right? And I still feel like a very small fish in the ocean, right? But as it were, when you're talking about, this is what my brother said, right? He says, well, when you figure out how to turn crypto into dinero, let me know, right? Because he only deals with fiat, right? He only deals with, he sells a product, he gets cash, right? Now he does very, very well in that industry. He works in the automotive industry and car sales. And he's like, when you turn crypto into dinero, let me know. So the day that I was actually able to liquidate a substantial amount of money in order to pay payroll, I gave him a call, right? And I was like, you told me when I figured out how to turn crypto into dinero to call you, right? And there was this conversation that I had the other day about fiat currency, right? Because there's like a lot of people, unless you are in finance or into crypto, you don't know what that means, right? Because people think that fiat is an acronym, which it's not. It just comes from the Latin word meaning let it be, right? And it is the money that is backed by the centralized banks, as where cryptocurrency is decentralized and it's not fiat currency. It's not in the standardized economy, such as we know as USD or AUSD, things like that. You have a better comprehension than I do, so don't hesitate to correct me a little bit, right? But the disadvantages of the fiat currency is you got things like hyperinflation, right? Like if we look at Zimbabwe, back it was around, I think, in the early 2000s, and like the hyperinflation there, it ran between 230 and 500 billion% in 2008. And the prices rose very, very rapidly, right? And they were forced to carry bags of money just to purchase basic staples of survival, right? And that's versus with a lot of cryptocurrencies, they want to avoid hyperinflation by doing things like burning, right? To where money has more value, right? Because when you inflation means the more money you have, the less it's worth. That's why printing money is a problem, right? And versus when they talk about burning in cryptocurrency, you shorten the demand to raise the value. So does that all from your background, sir, does that check out?
Absolutely. I mean, that's pretty much one of the most important reasons I think people get into crypto space because they see that problem, and it's a little hard to explain it to people who've never experienced it. I think in most wealthy countries, it's never been an issue. So people are like, what are you talking about? That's not really a problem. I have, cash and I happily leave or whatever. But when you actually see, hyperinflation, or you see like your money is worth less and less, you see like that, Big Mac price going up, and you kind of like start to understand, like that this fiat currency actually is not a really good way to store my wealth. It's just
stable.
It's not stable. Like it's losing, its value. If you look at like old movies, like when they talk about $100, it's like a really huge money. Like you got $100. Like now it's pretty much nothing. So you kind of like see that, and this is like the US. You can imagine how terrible it is in other countries in the world. So I think COVID situation also, like, for the last 15, 16 months, it accelerated that process. It helped people to understand and sort of, see what exactly is going on. We had these, memes about central banks like printing money and, some of crazy numbers like out there. And all these countries all around the world have, the solution was to print money, and people were just getting poorer and poorer. Right. So like
there was more money than ever, but
yeah.
It wasn't fixing the problem, because fiat currency, like the dollar bill, is not connected to a fixed resource like gold, right? And since there's more supply, the overall value has to go down. The best way I can describe this to a person who's uneducated, right, is like the Big Mac's a great example, but something that really stands out to people is the price of gasoline. So back about a decade ago, gasoline was that like a gallon of gas was like $5, right? And now it's sitting around the $3 region, $2.50 region. But that value of gas, that gallon of gasoline, people are like, well, that's big oil. No, that's the problem with the printing of the money too. Like if you look at how gas prices fluctuate, that's partially and really in part to the value of the dollar and what's happening there.
Yeah.
And
I mean, there's so many different examples, and the issue at the end of the day is that your like fiat currency it's going down in value, and that's a fact, because there's always going to be more of it being printed by the central banks. There's no exception for this. Like this is the thing for every single country. Some countries might be doing worse than the others. It's just the speed of it, and like if the country is corrupt, like the speed is pretty fast, so they accelerate that process, and people really see that in their lives. The problem with it, though, is in general, like I think people, because the damage is distributed amongst the entire population, you don't really feel it. It's like everyone is getting poorer. So you don't really like feel that you are getting poor, because you always, poor and rich is like relative. You look at like your neighbor and you're like, your neighbor is in the same situation. But when you see someone like who made like some good investments, like last year, like someone who bought any crypto asset, has made a tremendous job in terms of increasing his wealth. So that kind of shows like you kind of see that, you compare them, or you like look at the stocks or gold, or over years, if you look at larger time spans, you can see that your dollar at the end of the day is always like going down in value, and people hold on to different sort of better assets. They end up getting richer and richer. Like real estate, for example, has performed really well over last few decades, and that is also part of like the reason that shows like real estate has been a better asset than for example other stuff. So I mean, bottom line is that fiat currencies like go down in value because there's supply. Hence, you kind of need to hedge yourself against that problem. And cryptocurrency has been a very interesting option for many people, and has always like sort of over the last 11, 12 years of life, it has showed that over time it's always like the job, and the fundamentals, the fact that there are like for example in Bitcoin there's like 21 million Bitcoin, and that supply is static. In fact, it goes down because they get burned, or like they get lost over time, and that kind of like makes it more valuable over time compared to the fiat asset that you're on to.
Well, this is what I see, right? Like people don't even know that the countries, they'll do this thing called devaluation, right? Where they make the money less valuable on purpose, specifically to make it to where it's like it reduces the cost of a country's exports, right? But increases the cost of importing. So what you see is they're f***ing with the money on purpose, because there's like this currency war thing going on, because China and the United States will constantly with the value of their money, because they're trying to make the money. It's like that's what a trade war is. You get what I'm saying? They with the value of your money, because these governments are actually just big corporations.
Right. Yeah, that's totally the case. China's been doing that for a very, very long time, and it's kind of pushing other countries to do the same. The damage of that, it's like the country is basically putting the pressure on its people, because they're making people poorer by doing that. Well, China is distributing it over 1 billion population, so I think they have a pretty good tolerance level from that perspective, and people's education.
Like when you have more people, when you do that sort of thing, the impact is less overall, versus when you have a very finite in another country, they have to do it in a way that it hurts everybody. So the bigger your population, when you do it, the more, if you want to say ethical it is, the better off it is. Now, real quick, we have a disclaimer, but we're not financial advisors, right? We're just talking about like how fiat money works. Now, because we're not financial advisors, we're going to just give our opinion on this next part.
These are definitely not any financial advice. Just
right. So to me though, a way to kind of get past that is these coins and currencies, and this cryptocurrency isn't really tied to the centralized banks. They are its own ecosystem, and that can be a little dangerous to an extent when you get like rug pulls and stuff like that, or you get some people that don't have the community's best interest at heart. But it's a lot better when you have a community driven, it's worth this right now, and it moves a lot faster than fiat, right? But having your money set off into something that's not controlled by the trade war and things of that nature, I think is a safer alternative than of course, if you really want safe, they say pour it into gold. But my problem with pouring it into gold is it's only going to ever be worth the cost of gold. And me, I like to see better gains than that. Now, that's horrible financial advice. If you want the most sound financial advice, just buy a gold, right? But if you're wanting to really see some gains and learn how money works, starting to study crypto is a really great start of that.
It's also all sort of psychological, because why is gold valuable? It's because people find it valuable. So I think as a sound store of value, an asset being finite is very, very important. But at the same time, gold, I think, has this historical value that people sort of evaluate that as a valuable asset. That's the psychological effect that makes it valuable. I believe that our societies are changing. People are doing things different now. People necessarily, younger generation, they don't find physical items, physical assets as valuable as how people have been treating them historically. So there's this new digital way of doing things, which is really interesting. People use mobile apps a lot more. People use different sort of tools and medium that are in the digital world. So a digital version of that, a digital way of doing this, but in a way that it's finite, in a way that it's no one's tricking you or doing something malicious is quite interesting. And I think younger generation find that really valuable. And the next generation, the new millennials, I think, are getting sort of richer and richer over time as the previous generation is kind of getting retired. So the future lies, I think, in the world of digital assets.
Right.
And that's where I think cryptocurrency come in, very valuable option for people to look into as an option for investment, because it has a lot of potential, and it's still at its infancy. People are still trying to figure things out. Obviously, there are a lot of different experiments. There are a lot of projects. There are a lot of scams too. But overall, it's a very interesting movement. So far, it has proven that it's been a really interesting investment for people who got in.
Right. And that's the thing, right? There was I made a tweet last night because I have thoughts, this whole thing that knowledge is power, right? And I think that the way that the centralized banks and a lot of the people that are successful, they don't want us to get away from this fiat currency because, well, there goes their money. And
Sure.
And not just that, though, since knowledge is power, there's not education on how money works.
That's the funny thing, actually, right? You study all this math and science in school, but they never teach you about money and finance.
Right. So that's how they keep the power, is they don't encourage people, because if they really cared about us, they would want to teach us how it works. And that's why when people like you and people like me start learning, oh, this is how the world actually works. This is how money works. This is how, you become independently wealthy. This is how you end up breaking the cycles as you start educating yourself.
The knowledge, I think the knowledge is really important. If people make the decision of using using fiat currencies, and they actually think that that's a better model for different reasons, if they make the decision with the knowledge of all this stuff that we've been talking about, that's great. I mean, that there's an option, but I think mostly people don't actually know about it. They don't really think about it, and that's part of the problem. And as you said, people in power generally are not really educating people about these matters for obvious reasons.
And since I started this journey in crypto, I've never in my life met so many people with millions of dollars in their mid and early 20s, and it's real money. It's real money. That's the thing. It's not like they have millions of dollars of fake money. It's not monopoly money. When it's estimated to be worth $10 million when you're looking at your wallet, right? You could exchange that out and have $10 million.
Exactly.
Like, the value doesn't change. If it's estimated to be worth $10 million, it's $10 million. I don't care if, like, say for instance, right, Ali, if you were to pay me $5,000 in BNB, right? Now the actual how many Binance that is different, but it's still worth $5,000.
To add to that, like there's the liquidity as well that is in crypto liquidity has increased. So by liquidity I mean when you want to buy or you want to sell, you need to have someone on the other side. So you want to buy, someone is selling it to you. You want to sell, someone is buying from you. So it needs to have liquidity in order for it to be, a liquid asset. And crypto has a significant liquidity at this point, which has grown like organically since its creation. So that's also kind of something important. But yeah, at the end of the day, like, it doesn't really matter. You can change these coins in exchanges, which is actually what we help. We make this easier for people to participate, because a lot of people like want to, for example, when you want to buy, someone wants to sell, or vice versa. When you want to sell, someone wants to buy. So we make that process easier exchanges so people can basically participate and trade.
Right. And this is why I wanted to talk with you, Mr. I was in Forbes, right? Because education's a really important part of my platform. There's this lady, she's retired, right? And she's talking about helping her nephew get involved in crypto. And the kid's like, he's a teenager, right? She's wanting to help set up a wallet for herself and also for her nephew. And I think it's important that we share the knowledge, we talk about it, because it's so important, man.
Definitely.
It's so important. And the reason why more people aren't involved in crypto is because these conversations aren't happening.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's I think these sort of podcasts is a great way to talk about these things and educate people, things that they never, find in textbooks in school or even university school. People with like finance or economics degrees sometimes like struggle explaining some of these matters that you learn very easily in crypto space by just experimenting with money.
Right.
That's the thing I really like about crypto, because it makes money really sort of easy. It's something really, it's a lot easier than you kind of think. And when you play around with like these tokens, these assets, like these different coins, and transfer them, and then you kind of realize like, it's a lot easier than you thought, and you have then a different perception about money, which I think is really important for people to kind of experience.
There is a paradigm shift that takes place. And if you're not familiar with that phrase, it is your worldview, right? Your paradigm is how you view the world. So when you have a paradigm shift and you really start to realize, oh, this is what reality is, right? It really changes everything for you, because you're no longer thinking, well, I have to work 80 hours a week to pay my bills, right? You're like, oh, all I have to do is make some good choices across my trades and stuff, and then I pay my bills and I have extra.
Right.
And that's what the people that got involved in stocks, and you, to touch on what you said earlier, your neighbor who made some good investments, your neighbor that made some good investments that's doing very well, the difference is they understood the world better. That's the difference. The reason why certain people, like Warren Buffett, right? He eats McDonald's. Why does he eat McDonald's? Because he only consumes things he has stocks in. Why? Because he knows when he pours money into these things that he has stocks in, it makes him money. So it's minimizing his cost, because he understands life is business. So the first rule of business is don't lose money. So when you start understanding how these successful people think about their money, then you start making some different choices and changes.
Exactly. Yeah, totally agree.
So, Like, for instance, if you were saying you wanted to go to a strip club, but you didn't want to lose money on it, well, then guess what? You buy some stock in that strip club so you get some residual income back. It's a little of a crass explanation, right? But that's the thing. We got to start changing how we think about money in order to be successful. Now, you have a token, right? This Hollaex token. Let's talk about that. We've done a lot of education. Now, let's get to the brass tacks about what you're doing in the crypto space.
Absolutely. So Hollaex token is token of this Hollaex ecosystem of exchanges. So essentially, what we are creating is a network of crypto exchanges. One crypto exchange is not enough. We want a lot more crypto exchanges because people can essentially create these. And the great thing about exchanges is that more people, more trade, and more liquidity, and you make more money. Much. So what we did is that we created this network of exchanges called Hollaex Network, and these exchanges can share liquidity, you can trade from one exchange to another, and pretty much the token that fuels this ecosystem is Hollaex token. So the way it works is that exchanges that are utilizing software, they bring community, they bring like hundreds of thousands of users, and they make their own businesses. These guys, they make money by running an exchange. They take a percentage of every single trade that you make. That's how exchanges operate as a business. Take a fee. Some cases a really, really small percentage. In some cases, bigger percentages, and that's basically their profit.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. That's what they call slippage, right?
No, slippage is in basically an order book. Like when there's not enough, for example, liquidity, when you're trying to buy or sell, it sort of moves the price. It's a different matter, but the exchanges, like, they take a fee off of like trade. So for example, like, let's say two people, let's say you want to buy one key and I'm going to sell one XXP. I want to sell one. So we essentially make a trade. We set a price. You say like, I want to buy this price, and I'm like, cool. I sell to you. You buy from me. The trade happens. So as an exchange who's operating this system and is allowing people to make these choices, make these offers, bids and asks, you take a fee as an exchange owner from our trade. So one XHD or Hollaex token is traded now. The exchange operator takes, let's say, 0.1% from this trade, and that is the exchange profit margin. So what happens is that with the Hollaex network, a percentage of these fees that these exchange operators make basically goes to the network. And when I say goes to the network, it is basically used to XHD in the market. So the more people join this network, the more exchanges operate globally, the more people will make trades, exchanges make more money, and more percentage pretty much goes to the token, and it gets more and more valuable as time goes by, assuming more and more exchanges essentially join in. So
the exchange actually can operate as a way to also build the liquidity based upon the percentage taken.
Right, sure.
Okay.
So some of these exchanges are different. We have exchanges from all different countries. We have exchanges that do like tokens. We have exchanges that do fiat currencies, or different types of platforms, people. And some of these are like serious businesses that are utilizing technology, this software. The thing about trades is that, it's something that I think as the word gets more sort of, I'd say more open, people want to do more trades. That's the thing. And online trade is actually, so if we have more and more like digital assets, tokens, if people make things more and more tokenized, they need like exchanges to trade these assets. and we create this sort of giant like machine, which pretty much like, puts all of these exchanges together and allows like these exchanges to trade with each other. And that's pretty much the Hollaex token in a nutshell.
So Hollaex token is what you're here to promote, essentially. Now, tell me a bit about you got some tokenomics set up, you got a roadmap going on and all this. Where can people find that information?
So you can go to hollaex.com. You can Google Hollaex white paper to know about the tokenomics and how it all works. If you are a developer, a programmer, you go to GitHub, search for Hollaex Kit. You can pretty much just start from there, start like an exchange for businesses, other communities who have an awesome project, full token or coin. They can pretty much get things started through hollaex.com and go through like the exchange creation process and pretty much just start an exchange within 15 I'd say minutes. That easy. Doesn't really need any technical knowledge or experience. So we have pretty much like we serve both like tech and developer community as well as businesses because we do see a lot of value being created. For the most part, crypto tech is really hard. So these people like have really great ideas, but they can't really execute on those ideas. Very, very difficult like to do these tech and developers, so they can pretty much like get things up and running without doing a single line of code and start that exchange, pretty much like build like their community and start making money. Really, we've seen people from doing even STOs, regulated STOs, who sell like mid-sized companies that are not like in stock. They tokenize these assets, put it on the exchange. Like really, really different type of use cases. People who want to simply like create an exchange for Nigeria. Someone wants to buy crypto there. They pretty much utilize this. And as I said, like token projects, like communities also find it. Hollaex.com is basically the website. You can also check out bitholla.com, which is our trading, the company, and been pretty much, we provide a lot of other tools for trading, for professional trading as well on top of that.
What's cool to me, right? I'm going through your website right now, and you look at the different exchanges. You actually have charts listed for multiple currencies.
Yep.
And the charts are here. And Hollaex is actually worth 19 cents. It looks like right now.
Right. Correct.
0.1971. And that's where Doge is 30, right? 30 cents. This is a very thriving currency, sir. You didn't tell me that your coin was worth 19 cents. That's actually pretty, hey, how you doing? 19 cents. That's not a small number for a coin to get to. That's very hard. And you guys have kind of like flown underneath the radar a little bit, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we pretty much focus a lot on building the network of exchanges, and naturally it as we grow that foundation infrastructure, it pretty much like goes back into the token. So the token has a pretty much like a very key role in the ecosystem. So we kind of look at it this way, like the success of the sort of the ecosystem that we're creating is pretty much like in an indirect ways like reflected to the token, which is pretty cool. So we created this sort of ecosystem and tokenomics that makes it
right. And that's really interesting to me, because it's like so far a lot of these tokens that came on board and were talking to me, right? They got like, their zeros are like 6 out, 7 out, 9 out, right? Like their value is not that substantial in comparison to what Hollaex is doing. How long has Hollaex been in existence to get to this point?
We started it early 2020. It's been around for more than a year. It's been, for the most part, under the radar. We really haven't pushed it from a marketing perspective or anything. Because as I said, like we focused on the technology. But to add to what you said, I think it's also important to look at the market cap. The price is not the only indicator. You can see the price and you can chart the history, and you can see it has so much to tell you when you look at the chart of any asset token. But at the same time, like it's important to look at its market cap. How many tokens are actually out there? And you do a simple multiplication of the number of tokens, the price, get a market cap of this asset. And
where's your guys' market cap right now?
If you go to CoinGecko and search for Hollaex token, you can find all the information there about Hollaex token. One other thing also is the exchange liquidity and volume. Buy any kind of token or any coin. Liquidity is also very important. You want to know that enough liquidity, there's enough demand and supply in the market for people to trade that coin. Obviously, if like the token is really, really new, not much community around it, there's not much demand so there's not much demand, so it's a riskier project. But like there's risk reward always with these types of projects. The riskier it is, it could have higher risk, and that's kind of the interesting investment.
Right. That's pretty interesting. Now I'm looking at CoinGecko right now. Right now, I do have a really interesting question about your coin, real quick. Right, I'm going to send you what I'm seeing on this end. Right, and if you want to break this down, because people are going to look it up. Right, so if we look at it right now, I don't know if this is something they have to correct. Right.
Oh, it says a question mark here.
Yeah, I don't.
Oh,
that's why. Yeah, there's a question mark underneath market cap. I don't know what that means.
People who are listening to this should complain.
Yeah.
Send a complaint to CoinGecko.
I wanted to show you that before I said anything, because I'm like, so sometimes CoinGecko, maybe they're not up to date, right?
Yeah, that's on there.
It's kind of funny, right? At first, I need glasses. I read it as 7. I'm like, that doesn't seem right. So, folks, with all these technological things, sometimes stuff does get lost in the process. But right now, Hollaex is worth 19 cents, which means you are the most valued as far as like value per unit, cost per token. You guys are the actual like greatest cost per token that we've had here so far, with a apparently to CoinGecko questionable market cap, right? Like what does that even mean? How do they not calculate that?
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
Because if it didn't have a value, right, then it wouldn't be worth 19 cents.
Yeah, it's actually a process. I mean, like CoinGecko or like websites, they also do a thorough check, and long process to check everything and make sure data is correct, and part of like their job to make sure that they provide correct information. Well, they put a question mark over there, so it's not a good sign. But
well, your websites check out. You've been talked to by Forbes. It's got to be something on CoinGecko's side.
Yeah, definitely.
It's got to be something on CoinGecko's side. Otherwise, you were surprised about it. You didn't even know that was going on. So you probably need to get on the phone with CoinGecko here pretty soon.
Yeah.
And then once your question mark is gone, you got to come back so we can talk about it. You know what I mean? Like, because here's the thing. They have really great resources. He wouldn't have talked about it if he was trying to hide anything. Obviously, right? It's one of those things of he doesn't know why CoinGecko's not doing their job, which
that's unfortunate.
It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird, but hey, that's the benefit of coming here, right? We do some research. We find problems before, the rest of it. Probably by the time you guys, this interview starts really circulating, you'll have it figured out, which is great. And the charts on the Hollaex.com update, and they're live, folks, which is great. So you can watch multiple charts at one time. There seems to be a really great resource here, because I've not really seen too many sites where you can see multiple currencies, just their charts update as they go. Have you guys considered adding more charts into your Hollaex platform?
Charts are, definitely great ways for people to really see what exactly is going on. So it's definitely an important part of markets. So we want to have more and more coins, more charts in different time frames where people can see what exactly is going on. They tell a really good story. Charts, they don't lie. Like it's really the history of a coin, and what happened, and all those emotions that financially put there, and it gives you a pretty transparent past of what happened. So that gives you getting yourself into, and
it's also kind of satisfying because when it updates, you see a
that too
flash over the percentage on your site. Like, this is really cool, man. You got some great products going forward, and I am excited to see your guys' future.
Thanks. Thank you.
I'm genuinely excited about it. So guys, everything that you need is going to be in the description below. All their different websites, everything that you need. He's going to go yell at CoinGecko after this, which I'm sure he's going to, because it's kind of like, oh, what the hell are you doing? Like, I was in the middle of an interview and you f***ed me up. But if you guys want to know more about Hollaex and the team, it's in the below. I would love to bring you back so we could talk about this CoinGecko thing.
For sure. Yeah, that's a bit disappointing, but you can go to coin ranking, search for Hollaex token. That one has the market cap. So
well, let's go real quick and check it out. Right, like we're on a journey together, Ali. We're on a journey together. Okay, so let's see here. All right, so we're looking at it right now. We're looking at it, and yep, it's right there. A $38.89 million market cap.
Yep.
So there is a market cap. It's not questionable. It's just CoinGecko's acting kind of funny, which that looks bad on CoinGecko. So if CoinGecko, if you want to come on the podcast and talk to me about it, you can. I doubt they will, but you can. So yeah, this is really cool, man. I am excited to see what's going on with you in the future, and it's great. It's great. Thank you so much for coming on, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for inviting me.
Of course, man. What we do here is a lot of fun. It's very educational, and hopefully we'll talk to you again. This is really exciting. Now, with that being said, folks, BitHolla has a lot to offer. Right? Hollaex has tools not just for developers, but also for traders and consumers as well. So they can meet a lot of needs, and I'm very excited. It is possibly the most thriving token you never heard of. Like, I didn't know that they were worth 19 cents with a 39 million market cap. It kind of came out of nowhere for me. So that being said, folks, you got to get in there. Get in there and, just roll around a little bit. Use their tools. I love your tools, by the way, Ali. I love your tools. It's a great set of tools. That whole thing where you see multiple charts at your fingertips, that's beautiful. I really would love to see that expand.
Awesome. Yeah.
Like,
put a lot of effort into
yeah, no, and it shows, man. It really, really does. So, folks, you got to like, comment, and subscribe, and share with all of your friends so you can be in the know and they can be educated. You got to ring the bell after you subscribe so you can stay in the know and continue to get educated, because knowledge is power. We got to break you out of that rat race. And the last thing you got to do when you buy some Hollaex is hodl that shit.